Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT News. The Sentinels Invitational has concluded, and guess what? Sentinels have won the entire thing, but with a vastly different roster to win the tournament than they begun the tournament with, and was theoretically going to be the team going into this season. Could a potential 6-man situation on Sentinels work? Zellsis is still undefeated, with TENs or pANcada in the roster. It doesn't seem to matter. Big updates as well over at the Rebel Homegrounds. 100 Thieves already eliminated from the tournament. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. Plenty to dive into, and as you guys can full well see, this is the difficulty that Sentinels have in figuring out what their starting roster is going to be. They have 6 great players, and yet there are only room for 5 players on the starting team right now, and we'll discuss that here in a second. Another big talking point that gained a lot of traction on Twitter yesterday, x.com, was around Evil Geniuses. There is a lot of drama, as there always is, around Evil Geniuses, all the issues, the things they're doing, the problems, as he kind of breaks down here in this tweet. Under investigation by Riot, reportedly left a player malnourished. That's the whole E.G. Danny thing that's going on, the investigation over there. Obviously the contract gel situation here in VALORANT, the skeleton crew, all the problems we talked about yesterday, and there's plenty of stuff going on at EG. The fact that G2 really in hindsight got rejected for, Carlos did his tweet, he eventually got kicked from the organization, went a bit rogue, but the fact that G2 got excluded from franchising for that I thought was pretty wild. But now EG apparently did perfectly fine, Riot don't say anything. But maybe that's going to change in the near future, and every day there's more pressure on Riot really to have a think about this and to consider whether EG's place in the Partnership League is justified going into the new season. Now let's talk the SEN Invitational. They put the money up themselves, they won their own money. Okay, I guess the sponsor put it up, but you guys know how it is. Now yesterday, as is always the case, TENs got sick again. So pANcada was sick the other day, now TENs is sick today. I know people were joking about food poisoning and stuff. I guess TENs just, is unwell. This guy's always unwell. You guys know how it is. But TENs was out, and that meant pANcada is back in. And as Sensei, the benefits of having 6 superstars on one team, which is a big benefit. The problem is, what do you do? What is your starting team? This is the question I have for you guys in the comments below. What would you do if you had to go to the new season and actually form a starting roster of 5? Because Zellsis is really good. And this guy could have been, let's not forget, in-game leading Cloud9 this year. He was very close to doing so. He actually made the choice in the end to not go to Cloud9 as their in-game leader, let them get Vanity instead, and go and sit on Sentinel's bench. Clearly with the hope and intention to play for Sentinels at some point. Now he's done that. Does that mean that he's going to be in there full time? I wouldn't say so, but he's definitely proved his worth in a very high level. So Sensei with the food poisoning works, so Zellsis can stay in the team again. And before we get to the finals, we get Oxygen versus G2 again. G2 go down 2-0 here, and Verno had a phenomenal performance in this series. There's some talented players on Oxygen. Verno has been one of the big. Verno and Redux really have been the 2 guys that people look at and talk about, and Verno went big time in this one. 13-11 Haven, 25-13 on the Sofa, and then again he was on the Gecko this time, 23-13, 13-10. Close series, but Oxygen, of course, a tier 2 team looking to mix it up this year for Ascension, beating G2, effectively the champions of Ascension last year. Now they've got Leaf in, no Tex, and this is the confusing thing. The rumor has it that Tex was not, he didn't leave, he was kicked, basically. They wanted to make a change. I don't know to what extent that's true or not, but that's been a rumor that they effectively wanted him gone, they wanted Leaf in or Jorgamote, whatever. But, not working out for them so far. G2 haven't looked so good since this most recent change, and they're getting beaten by a team like Oxygen here at this tournament. Show match, invitational, pre-season, doesn't matter that much, but nonetheless it is important to some degree, and, Valin does read into these things. I mean, it is a competitive match for money. You're not trying, and as Valin says, we just aren't ready yet, but it was a good experience to see him patch up holes in our game for immediate improvement, might on the VCT. So, of course, time to come. They'll still keep delivering, but Oxygen also were competitive in the finals, but not competitive enough compared to Sentinels, and this was a pretty dominant performance actually here by SEN. pANcada especially straight back in on the smokes, and he's drawing big numbers, but this is the thing with Zellsis, right? This guy can run anything. The other day, these roles, the Breach, the Viper, whatever, these were the type of things that TENs was on. He was especially using the Breach, and Zellsis would play the smokes to use pANcada's roles. But now Zellsis comes back into the team, pANcada comes back in, sorry, replacing TenZ. So pANcada goes back to the Omen on the smokes. Zellsis steps into kind of what, TenZ was doing on that kind of flex role, and is still dropping big numbers. I mean, yeah, Zekken obviously had a lot of kills as well on the duelist. Sassy wasn't required to really do anything this entire tournament, actually, on the initiator. I do think Gen.G, though, is a real, this guy is what might make this roster, because in previous years, especially last year, they had a solid in-game leader, but not an in-game leader that could really frag. And when you've got an in-game leader that's as good mechanically as Gen.G is, and he's a good in-game leader, that makes a difference, right? And the fact that Gen.G can be here mixing it up with the top slayers on his team and in-game leads is massively impressive, and I think is one of the key reasons why Sentinels are looking good at the moment. So yeah, for all that we said about Redux and Verdo and even the likes of Scuba, yeah, they go down pretty comfortably. 13-5, 13-11 in the end on Sunset. Still really hard to beat, it seems, on this map, Sentinels, at the moment. And yeah, pANcada has a great map 2, great map 1, and he comes back in. Nobody denies how good pANcada and Sassy are individually, but it's just, it hasn't really been working out on Sentinels for a little bit of time. Why? That's a question. Did they need a new in-game leader like Gen.G? Sure, but what do you do if you're Sentinels now? Because pANcada comes back in and he's making the case very clear, right, to the timeline. I'm back. I mean, people are criticizing pANcada, saying, he was kicked from the team, they lost the series to MXS, Zellsis comes in, they start winning. But even then, pANcada can't fully escape it, because Zellsis was still in the roster, If this was pANcada back in for Zellsis, then sure. But that people will wonder, for good reason, whether the reason why they've won all this is actually because of Zellsis in the team in the first place, rather than anything else. But TenZ was really good on that flex roll the other day as well, and I think Gen.G's done a great job by gelling. So very impressive result from Sentinels. It's early days, early season. They didn't beat anyone spectacular this tournament, but they still won it. Their own tournament, yes, so they get to decide the rules and stuff, and when they play and all this stuff. But still, impressive results, deserved and comfortable victory. And it's Zellsis who kind of, walks away with the MVP and all this at the end of the tournament after stepping in the circumstances. So what about the future of the Sentinels team? What do you do next if you're Sentinels? It's difficult to get rid of Zellsis and put him back to the bench. I think that's probably what they'll do. TenZ will come back in, pANcada will stay in the team. But if that doesn't go well, they know that Zellsis is a very viable and good option, and probably an option that you want to go for. But it's if you do keep Zellsis in, who do you get rid of, right? I mean, I know people are now saying, get rid of Sassy because he didn't have a great tournament. And to be fair, when you look at the overall numbers for the tournament, you see that basically it's all the Sentinels players at the top, with the exception of Sassy, who is somewhat further down. But not everyone can get all the kills all the time. And I guess there's also the chance to have a rotation, Could they do what teams like DRX and others do, have a 6-man team and make changes between maps, between series if needed? Sure, they probably could. And therefore Zellsis would still let some time. And therefore Zellsis would still get some time. I don't know what they'll do. I think they'll go back to what it was before, but I don't know how long that will last if the regular season begins and they're not so good when Zellsis has had these results stepping into the roster. Now let's talk about the Red Bull Homegrounds tournament. Yesterday, there were more matches that went down after I recorded yesterday's video. So, we actually saw 100T, they took down Scars 13-7 on the split, so they did eventually get a victory on the board. And Foot Esports took down DRX 13-8, so that was impressive from them. They advanced quite deep into the tournament, actually, and this was the bracket going into today. So 2 teams, Scars, Fennel eliminated, C9 Zeta, DRX 100T, the winner of that plays Fnatic, the winner of this plays Foot Esports, the grand finals, you know the drill. Cloud9 then take down Zeta Division in the quarterfinals, a 2-1 result, of course, in front of that Japanese crowd. A very impressive series, actually, from these guys, and as we can see, Zeta, here they are, making some changes, swapping players around in certain maps, and that is, that is something to look at maybe for Sentinels as well. But Zeppa, Oxy, everyone played well here. I wonder if Curry will play as the full time 6th man for C9, whether he'll come back into that role. But Ascent went Zeta's way, but after that it was easy, really. 13-2 on Bind, dominant, and then 13-7 on Lotus. So impressive from Cloud9, taking down Zeta in front of their home Japanese crowd, and Vanity was very happy about it. Washjai Gel shot back for once, appreciates the cheering of the crowd. And then the second series of the day was DRX versus 100 Thieves. So DRX, let's not forget, okay, these guys are pretty good. Okay, one of the better teams in the world, but they're not playing with the roster you might always expect them to, and they also just lost that best of one to FUT Esports, and they still 2-0 100 Thieves. I mean, look, they're playing with Buzz, Stacks, Flashback, Mako here, and Foxy9, and Flashback is pretty good. Foxy9 steps in, you know, no RB, anything like that, but yeah, this wasn't pretty really. The Lotus was 13-8, that was comfortable for DRX. The Ascent was a map they really should have won. I mean, they were up 11-5 here, 100 Thieves, and they then lost 8 in a row. Like, this is the type of stuff that just makes you think that nature ain't going to stay around too much longer. You know what I mean? It's just moments like this where I know that Nadeshot was doing the watch party saying, oh, yeah, I'll get the snacks ready for map 3 because it looked like it was going to go map 3. They didn't even get to overtime here on the Ascent, and DRX in all the rounds in a row, they win it, they didn't make enough adjustments, and as soon as DRX made the adjustments to 100T, they just couldn't bounce back in the maps. I don't know whether this team is just cursed, whether, like, you know, this roster, this core simply doesn't work, but, and okay, they lost to a good team in DRX, but their performance this tournament was not good at all, and it is difficult to justify 100T being a force this season. Now, as I say, you know, Buzz was on fire today, and deserves a lot of the credit for DRX's success. This was after map 1, and look at the beautiful stadium they've got, but nonetheless, I'm sure that 100 Thieves will be frustrated about the way they performed here, and even as Asuna says, you know, 0-2 DRX 2024 will be better, so we'll see about that. But yeah, lots for 100 Thieves to think about, because they came into this tournament, sure, not the ideal circumstance. I know that many will say, oh, Boostio will save them, don't worry. But then there's others that will say, well, Boostio will be cursed by this team as well, and it's just going to take them down. I don't know, but, you know, we've seen enough of this core now, Asuna, Cryo, Bang, and, you know, stuff like this, to think that this should work, but it still just doesn't ever seem to work. And as I said yesterday, we did a whole video on the disappointment of 100 Thieves VALORANT, which is on the Breaking Point channel, so, yeah, again, if you guys want to have a look at that, feel free, because I'm sure we will have to redo it in another couple of years after we get another couple of years of 100T disappointment. I suppose we shall see. Let me hit the refresh on this, and actually, good job I recorded this video slightly later than usual, because Cloud9 have gotten the job done, and they've taken down FUT Esports 2-1. So Sunset was 13-4 to Cloud9, Lotus was bouncing back for FUT Esports the other way, and then it was 13-10 just ended here on the Haven as Cloud9 take the victory. So last year in the preseason, it was Cloud9 and 100 Thieves that were looking really good. Cloud9 still looking really good. Oxy, what a player this guy is. Such an exciting character to watch. And, I mean, yeah, 68 kills over the series. Really impressive. Zephyr right up there as well, and they take down FUT Esports to advance in the tournament all the way to the grand finals. They'll be expected to play Fnatic there if Fnatic beat DRX in tomorrow's series, and then we'll see who wins the finals. But yeah, definitely a tale of two North American teams on different trajectories at the moment. 100 Thieves on one side and Cloud9 definitely in another league at the moment. So very much enjoy your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.